Hello, dog lovers, and welcome back to one of the almost final episodes of Dog Training at Home with me, Jarvis from Jarvis Dog Whisperer Luxury Boarding and Training. How are you? I'm very well, thank you for asking. I am a little bit nasal and horrible today because I am recovering from tonsillitis, so forgive me for sounding quite croaky and just generally not my usual self. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about why so many puppies are being rehomed in lockdown. This is such a strange phenomena. I mean, it's so unprecedented, the whole situation with the pandemic. People's lives were turned upside down immediately, and it's probably one of the first shared global experiences since the Second World War. One of my dear friends, who is a greyhound owner, whoop whoop, she said this to me, and I thought, my goodness, that strikes such a chord. It's true. It's something everybody will be able to relate to and understand for decades and generations to come. So how does this relate to dog ownership and giving up dogs? So one of the things that happens when there is kind of global crisis or unrest is that it affects people's psychology. It affects how they think, how they process information, and how they regard themselves in the world. This happened at the end of both World Wars, actually. And one of the things that happened after World War II, apart from there being an enormous learning curve about discrimination against other people, was people realised that once they did have a bit of money and it started to flow in the 50s, that they wanted to live their lives. Saving money became less important, and people began to spend more money, enjoy themselves while they could. And pandemics seem to have the same effect on people. So what lots of us did is say, what's going to make me cope with this situation? What's going to make me feel better? And how can I live my life the way I wish I'd always done it? My goodness. For lots of people, that was getting a dog, and I don't blame them. However, what lots of people found was that puppies are a full-time gig. I don't think they really talk about this enough. Who's they? What am I talking about? I don't know. I'm going to tell you now, as a dog trainer, as a dog owner, as a dog person and a professional, dogs are literally a full-time gig. It is like having a child. And if you think you can have a dog and leave them at home all day while you go to work, dream on. Times have changed. When I was a kid, that was considered standard practice, but it's not anymore. It's not allowed anymore. You'll find rescue centres. There's no way they'll rehome to anybody who's going to be out for more than 4 hours in a day. And quite rightly, animal welfare has shot through the roof, quite rightly so, as it should. However, nobody was giving out the memo for that. I mean, I know it and my owners know it, but maybe books and things haven't caught up. It depends where people are getting their information from as well. When I was a kid, if you wanted to know about something, you go out and buy a book. Now we go on YouTube and we see who has the most likes and who has the most views, and we trust that information, regardless of any credibility that might be behind it. It's quite an interesting thing. I've actually written a blog that will be published very soon about this topic because I needed to go in depth with it. And people have found that dogs are actually a really full-time thing, much more than they realised. I think lots of people assume that you're going to have a nice puppy, it's going to be really, really fun, they'll get used to the place quite quickly, training should be quite easy, you watch YouTube videos and people aren't having any real problems on there. These puppies are doing everything, and you think you're doing everything right, you're following all the steps that your favourite trainer has given you. It could be an online one, it could be local, could be someone like me, who knows. But if you get to that point where you realise that actually you need 4 or 5 hours in the day dedicated to the dog, minimum, just to keep them level. For a lot of people with kids and jobs and things like that, they just don't have that time. So dogs get rehomed. On top of that, if the dog starts to develop a behavioural issue, which is really common when they don't get what they need because people don't have enough time, people panic. people worry. And if the pandemic has affected people financially in ways they hadn't expected through lockdown 2 or 3, that's when, if you're affected financially, that's when people start to say, oh, not sure we can commit to this for 15 years. And actually, that mentality that began in the beginning of the first lockdown and the start of the pandemic, literally this time last year, that mentality of I'm going to live my life the way I want to now. Sometimes we really desperately want to do that, and we find that the restrictions come in later, like finances, like losing your job, being made redundant. There are a huge number of things. I do think lots of people go into dog ownership not realising just how hard it's going to be, not realising what's required of them as an owner, because many of us getting dogs now in our 30s and 40s, maybe even older, maybe even younger. For the most part, 30s and 40s, maybe got kids, getting married, that kind of thing. And we have preconceived notions from when we were kids about how to raise dogs. Maybe we had dogs as kids, maybe our parents had dogs. Maybe we got really attached to a specific breed, that kind of thing. Those preconceived notions could be outdated, they could be wrong. And it's things like that, oh, well, we'll leave them all day, it'll be fine. We used to do that with my old dog, no problem at all. And actually they find that that is never going to work with the dog that they get. A lot of people as well, I think, getting breeds that are too much for them. We all have dream breeds that we want, and it's really difficult to gauge if we're going to be the right fit for the dog rather than the other way around. I know for me, my goodness, like I still did so much research for our new boy, so much research, insane amount. Because even I, as a professional, was thinking, oh my goodness, I really don't want this to go wrong. And that's the best way to be, I think, is just to be, if you can be aware that you need to ramp yourself up to meet the breed, and to be able to give them the life that they need to be happy and balanced and well behaved. That's a good way of looking at it. Anyway, there's a huge number of factors as to why dogs get rehomed. I'm of the opinion that we shouldn't judge people if they make a mistake. Yes, people can be misguided. Yes, people can make stupid choices and not realise the responsibility. But my goodness, the world needs education to improve, not belittling or judgment or mean comments. I see some of the comments online with rescue centres where they're trying to rehome a dog, and they've said, oh, it's come from this kind of background, and there's some really hideous things people say about people they've never even met. You don't know what other people's situations are. So spread a little love, spread a little kindness, spread some education. That's the best way to get through any plight, I think. And hopefully this pandemic will be over soon. I'm so delighted to see so many people getting vaccinated now, and I wonder when my turn will be. I'd love to know if you've had your vaccine. Tell me in the comments, and have a great day. Bye.